Welcome, race fans, to another Sunday night Skippy race here at Keyhole Racing Network. My name is Pimlet, and today we drive at Mid-Ohio. And who better to have in the booth than Peter Lee? Peter, welcome. Tell us all about this track.
Well, Pim, it's great to be here. This is a wonderful track in Central Ohio. It's strangely very unpopular with the Iracing crowd, but super popular and loved by the Sunday Night Skippy League. And it's really, I think, arguably the best track in the Iracing service for the Skip Barber 2000 cars.
All right, Peter, but why? Why is this the best track for you?
Well, it just has everything that you want, especially for these Skippies. It has these incredibly technical sections. This China Beach turn 4, Madness turn 5, S's turn 6, Jump turn 8. It has this incredibly long straight going from turns 2 to turn 4 through something called the speed trap, which gives just enough drafting for these cars. And then incredible danger in the turn 12 carousel. It's just one of these things that just allows the master of the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car to show off all of his or her skills.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And then you've been talking about it the whole week. So I'm actually amazed that you're here in the booth and not on track. But I do appreciate it because it's going to be busy. I've seen more than 15 cars here in the SF2 race.
Yeah, it looks like, 14 cars and some new names. We have David Breiner here in the field.
No.
Yes.
David Breiner, the oval racer.
That's right. And so you really have to give it to him to really dive in here in Skippy Formula 2. We'll be watching out to see if he can keep it safe. And then, of course, we have the old stalwarts, like Rich Butler and Jake Ashay, Barry Stockdale, Rusty Pottenberg, Dan Pagowski, and then these relatively newcomers like Alex Othon and Melody Chance and Justin Divin, Nate Struhls, Kurt Smith. It's a great field, and they're in the middle of qualifying right now, and all turning in some pretty competitive times already.
So, Peter, maybe it's a good thing to have a quick look at the standings for the SF2, because we do see that in this week, Christopher Daniel is still ahead with 224, but very close by him is Alex Olton on 219 points, 5 points less. And then we have Ian Worrell on the 4th place with 42 points less, so that is a big gap. So I'm really looking forward. What is Alex doing currently, and what is Christopher doing?
Well, they're both turning in some great qualifying times right now. Alex is on the provisional pole, having turned in a 136.86. And Chris Daniel is provisionally sitting in P3 right now with a 137.5. So both extremely fast times.
Oh.
But there's enough of a draft effect after the turn 2 hairpin, which is called the Keyhole, going through the speed trap up to turn 4, that as long as you can stay consistent, we can expect packs to form and for it to be actually pretty hard for leaders to shake the people behind them in each pack.
Yeah, and I remember last time we drove here, Rusty was also really good. Rusty won the last race. How is he doing?
Well, Rusty is just has been coming on strong. Ben, we loved watching just his improvement all through last season, and that's continued with the same pace this season. And right now, of course, he won the race last week at Snetterton 200, and he is sitting provisionally in P4 in this qualifying session right now with a 137.2.
Nice, yeah, and then you have to remember that we saw him this morning as well on the oval, also driving over there. So he does many different things. One other driver that also does that is Jake Ashay. He's back. I think he missed a race here in Formula 2, but he is back.
That's right. In fact, you and I were talking to him about this on the Discord earlier today, and He was. I don't know if Pim, if you thought he was complaining a little bit about having a life outside of iRacing. I don't know what that's about, but he's here on the track tonight, and he's sitting provisional P2 right now with a 136.9.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I know he was. I actually mentioned that he was more of a day driver, and he was like, no, I'm going full for this championship. So good to see that he's back, and looks like he has a lot of speed here, especially in this first corner. This is one of the first times where we actually have an open qualification, or is that normal in Formula 2? We never watch it actually.
Skippy Formula 2 always has an open qualifying session. You have 10 minutes to set your best time, but you are limited to 4 flying laps. And so it's looking like all but 2 drivers have actually completed. In fact, all but 1 driver has actually completed the 4 allowed laps. And now all of them have completed their 4 allowed laps.
All right, so the cars that we do see driving now are just having some fun driving around. They're not going to be sometimes anymore, because I do see...
Some last-minute practice.
Always good. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so it looks like we do have Alex Othon snagging the pole position with a 136.1, which is a great time, followed by Rusty Pontenberg in P2 and Chris Daniel in P3.
I still don't know. Still don't see no grid option, so I'm gonna believe you on that. But now we do see get them up, and we do see that Alex Othon has taken the lead here with a 136.1. Congratulations for him. Rusty Pontenberg on the 2nd place, so did make some improvements. Chris Daniel on the 3rd place, and Jake Ashay there on the number 4. It's going to be very exciting to see that start going. Dan Pagowski on the 5th position. Then we have Rich Butler, 6th position. Did he change his team? Is he Shark Cat now? Interesting. We see Nat Strules, Joe Zubo, Kurt Smith on position number 9. I'm curious what he's going to do. He's a relatively newcomer, but I hope that he can surprise us. And I also see Justin Devon and Nicholas Mazza back in the pack. So looks like we have a big pack here.
Yeah, it's a great field. And, just thinking about Dan Pagowski qualifying P5, that's a great qualifying result for him. And last season when we ran here at Mid-Ohio, Dan created some drama, really attempting to finish the race on a single refueling stop. Now, normally the fuel restrictions for Skippy Formula 2 would require at least 2 stops for fuel. The fuel is restricted to that extent. But, if you, are efficient enough with the fuel, you can almost think about trying to finish a race with just 1 refueling stop. And Dan Pagowski is one of the drivers in this field that's tried that a few times. It didn't work out for him last season, but we'll want to keep an eye out for that in this race.
All right, yeah, we're waiting now for one more driver. I think they're all back on the track, so we have completed this. So let's see what we can bring over here. I'm very excited. And here we go. Alex Othon takes that position, and Rusty Pontenberg straight behind him.
Now this turn 1 is extremely treacherous, even on warm tires, but you'll want to watch to see if they all get through here safely on cold tires, and it looks like they're all okay. Now as they come down here, this is the big hairpin. It's called the Keyhole, and this is incredibly important to get a great launch, because you have now the longest straight and really the best passing opportunity on the whole track. And if you can just catch the right draft down what's called the speed trap, which is where they're going through now, you come down and then do some pretty delicate hard braking for a remarkably fast turn 4 right here. And then up the hill, and right at the crest of the hill is a turn called Madness. Turn 5.
And who goes off there? We see Barry Stockdale goes off track over there. I don't think I saw much damage, but that will definitely cost him some time.
Yeah. Well, in fact, and that sand trap that he fell into out of the exit of turn 4 is known as China Beach because when you're out there, it just looks like a big beach.
Well, it does look like that, and we do see one big court. I do see a little bit here in the back that we have some more fights going on. Jake Ashay here on the outside gets passed by Nate Struels, or it's the other way around. Oh, he takes a really nice entry over here.
That was really beautifully done. It does look like Alex Othon, Chris Daniel, and Rusty Pontenberg have formed already a lead pack and are stretching out a gap of a couple of seconds over Dan Pogowski and Rich Butler running in Ps 4 and 5.
Yeah, you do see that Rusty is taking it quite easy, going after there, making sure that he can keep up, giving Chris all the room to follow Alex Othon.
You know, Pim, coming into turn 2, Rich Butler outbraked Dan Pogowski and is now running in P4.
Yeah, and right behind there is Jake Ashay with Nate Struels. This is
turn 4, yes. And you know, on the broadcast, it doesn't look like much, that left-hander, turn 5, but you know, it's amazing how light the car gets there. You're really cresting a hill, and it's just hard to find grip.
And then behind this scene, we do see that Melody has overtaken Nicholas Massa for P8. So she's sliding over there and has that again going in for the inside over there. Is Nicholas going to fight for that?
Yeah, I think so. We've seen this, Pim. You know, Melody is a driver who is not afraid to throw the car around into these turns. And so she's leading this pack, this P8 through P12 pack right now.
It does look that she's a little bit the bottleneck over here, but nobody can actually pass her. Maybe she can run away with Nicholas Matza, but is he overtaken? Is he going to try? He's going to try it over here. Look at this. Oh, no, he holds it back. Melody defends really nice. It's a good position over there. Oh, but he goes again. But he is on the outside. Does he? Can you overtake over there on the outside? It's going to be very, very difficult. He is going to give it a try. And you do see that Justin is also looking. Oh, and Justin is going a little bit too much. You can see that Justin is going too much. Holds his car, but definitely lose a lot of positions over here. And now we see Nicholas Matza having a lot better run on that outside. So I do think that they're going to lose some time over here.
Boy, they're side by side, and this is now going to be kind of white knuckle for both drivers.
Yeah, and right behind there you see Joey Zuo overtaking Kurt Smith. Oh, and Joey. That was very, very close.
Yes.
I didn't recognize Joe. Joe has a new livery.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before. It's you know, it's just a wonderful kind of thing that everyone has been repainting their cars, and they're looking really good. But that pack of 4, you know, with Nicholas Matza, Melody, Chance, Kurt, Smith, Joe Zubo.
There's something gonna happen.
Yeah. And
look at this, look at this. Is he going to defend? He's going to defend right over there, but Kurt is really good. Oh, undertake? No. And now he has to defend himself, because now he has Joe Zubo right in the back over there.
Yeah.
And this is all good for Nicholas Matza, because he's running away a little bit. And that's where he goes. When you talk about him, he goes, ay, 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 ay.
That, Pim, that's your broadcaster's curse.
I'm
right there.
not sure about that.
But you know, that turn 1 is, in my view, the most dangerous corner on this track. And on the exit, if you overcook it just a little bit and you put that right rear tire in the grass, that spin will get you every time.
Yeah, we're now looking together with Alex Olton and Chris Daniel. Right behind them is Rusty Pontenberg. I do see that Richie Butler and Dan Pogowski are getting a little bit closer. Or is that my imagination?
No, I think you're right. You know, they're what, about Yeah, I think they're all within draft range of each other. And, the other thing is that Rich Butler, Dan Pagowski, and Jake Ashay, I think, are making up a little bit of ground on that lead.
Peter, we do have some news from the back. Kurt Smith, we're looking at a replay, had an incident. I'm very curious what happened. Oh, he had an incident. Oh, with the three of them. So that was Joe Zubo, Kurt Smith, and David Breiner, I think. Oh, no, David Breiner actually passed him. But that was a bit of a... But I think he's okay.
Yeah. It's hard to tell if there was real damage there. But, that turn 4, that is the prime passing opportunity. So it's not surprising to see that. And
he does go into the pit right now. We see a little damage, little wing in the front. And also the back is a little bit bent. So that doesn't look very good, but luckily he can go into the pit. For sure that the pit is open, and we can go continue his drive.
Right.
Right, it was me, because Rich Butler is not coming any closer. Alex Alton is really pushing this group. And I think even Rusty has now difficulties to catch up.
Yeah, Rusty is now has fallen more than a second behind Chris Daniel. But this lead pack has now stretched out their lead over Rich Butler.
And we do see sliding over there. But Chris Daniel can hold it, but that's a great opportunity for Rusty to come back. It's nearly there, and he's back into that... they're all sliding over there. It's been a while since I driven the Skip, but look at that. Well,
this is a track where you really throw the car around. In fact, there was some coaching in the Discord from the top SF1 drivers about the virtues of trying to keep the tires a little bit quieter here and not overdriving the car. But the track does really invite you just to really toss the car around, and we're watching a lot of these guys doing that.
Yeah, who isn't doing it? I think that you really need to do it up here. And we do see that Jake Ashay is in that close range. And Dan Pagowski is right behind him. The old-timers of the SF1 here racing together for position number 5.
Looks like David Breiner has had an issue on the exit of turn 1. So that's another one, and he looks like he's having to tow.
Right, I'm not sure what happened, but I do see that Joe Zubo is back in his... Do you now also see that he's with the B again? Or is that Barry Stockdale? It's Barry Stockdale.
That is...
Barry Stockdale is the busy B.
Yes.
The flying B, yeah. Now I remember. I was just thinking, but Barry is driving very nicely over here. Together with Justin. Oh, he can't overtake that one. But look at this. And they do touch up here. Luckily, not much damage. I hope Barry can still drive. I don't see any damage for him. And that happens sometimes.
Yep. It looks like they're both okay. So we are getting now these packs. There's Alex Othon and Chris Daniel. Just nose to tail in P1 and P2. Rich Butler, Jake Ashay, and Dan Pagowski. Another pack running in positions 4 through 6. Then we have Joe Zubo and Melody Chance battling for P8. And then Justin Diven and Barry Stockdale.
And we do see Barry Stockdale going in for a pit.
Yep. In fact, I was just wondering about that because the pit window for the first refueling stop is open. Looks like Justin Diven is...
It's actually Justin Diven that went in and Barry that stayed out.
Yes. Back up front, it's looking... we've seen this play out in a bunch of races this season, Pim. Chris Daniel being content to just stay right behind and keep pressure on the leader, and then wait for his chance, maybe after the refueling stop to try to make his move.
Oh yeah, and he will definitely make that move, for sure about that.
Yeah. A little further back, it is looking now like Rich Butler running in P4. I wonder if he's starting to pull out a little bit of a gap over Jake Ashay. It's
I don't think so. Jake Ashay, 0.5 seconds over there. Jake is just comfortable. He's just continuing that drive. I do expect him, he's going to be in. And I do see that Chris Daniel has taken his pit over here. So he's going in very on that moment. Together with Kurt Smith as well.
Yep. Well, we'll get a chance to see, another theme in Sunday Night Skippy this season has been the effectiveness of the undercut. And so we'll get a chance to see if this works out for Chris Daniel.
Yeah, but that also means that Rusty has to look a little bit further because he's now 4 seconds away from Alex Alton. And Alex can really make his move right now. We've seen that before. Alex is quite steady in this.
Yeah.
He wins a lot of races. But I do have to say that Chris Daniel is always surprising me. So I'm not sure what this undercut could be a nice way of coming back.
Yeah, we'll want to watch to see if Alex, he's on the back half of the course right now, but as he comes around through Thunder Valley to see if he'll take his pit stop, and we'll get an early look to see that battle play out. Rusty Pontenberg as well. And then don't forget about this group with Rich Butler, Jake Ashay, and Dan Pogowski. They just continue to be nose to tail throughout this whole first half of this race.
And he is not going in, or is he? Yes, he is going in. Look at that. Did do a lot of practice on that. You could see how smooth that went. Oh, this looks very, very quick.
It does. It's a tricky pit entry.
And look at that. Rusty Pontenberg is continuing over there.
It's like Dan Pogowski is also in the pits, and Nick Struhls as well. Nate Struhls.
So now we have a new top that Rusty Pontenberg is ahead and Rich Butler is coming back. Look at that. Where it was 3.7 seconds, it's now only 1.7. Rich is really going hard now.
And just watching, looks like Chris Daniel did do a successful undercut and has now overtaken the lead over Alex Othon.
Oh, nice. Oh, I totally missed that part.
Yeah, it's really, really well done. So Rusty Pontenberg is, of course, running in the lead, followed by Rich Butler and Jake Ashay, but none of those drivers have had to pit yet. And so of the drivers who have pitted, we have Chris Daniel in the lead, followed by Alex Othon, and then Dan Pogowski in P3 amongst the drivers who have taken one refueling stop. Well, so the tables have turned at the front of the field. Now it's Alex Othon's turn to keep the pressure up on Chris Daniel, and we'll see if Chris can be as steady as Alex was in the first part of the race.
Yeah, and still a lot of people need to go to a pit stop, so it is going to be difficult. But these guys, Alex Alton is really coming in hard right now.
Yep. Talking about pit, Rich Butler is in the pit lane. And so that's another one that we'll want to really watch. Jake Ashay. Interesting, Pim, don't you think, that Jake was fairly late with his pit stop?
Very late, and we do see now more people. Joe Zubo is also going in, and it's Melody Chainsu going straight ahead.
Yes.
So goes up to the fourth position.
And now that means only Rusty Pontenberg and Melody Chance are the only two drivers who haven't stopped for fuel yet.
So what does that mean? Like, are they gonna just, because we're 50 minutes in, a little bit further, and they can do this in one go, or am I?
Yeah, we've seen this a bunch of times, Pim, in Skippy Formula 2. In fact, it's one of the exciting things about Skippy Formula 2 is if you get enough draft, if you're efficient enough with fuel, you can almost think about trying to do this in one stop. And it's been attempted many times. I don't know that it's ever been successfully done.
Now we're driving along here with Alex Alton, who's now getting really close to Chris Daniel. I'm not sure how long Chris can hold this up.
Yeah, it does look, doesn't it look to you, Pim, like Alex is a little bit faster than Chris? That doesn't mean it'll be easy to pass, but it is looking.
Yeah, no, it looks definitely like he has the pace over him. But yeah, we saw Alex of Chris behind him, and that was really nice. A lot of draft, and so I'm not sure. This could still be very interesting to see. And maybe Chris Daniel can do another undercut, or is that not? Yeah, that's got to be necessary again.
It looks like Melody Chance has gone into the pits, and Rusty Pontenberg as well. So that means that now everyone has taken their first refueling stop.
Yeah, and that also means that you can't do it on one stop. So that means that we're going to see some more pit stops up here. Alex Holton is taking a time, is looking over here what he can do best. There is going to be a blue flag over there that is, having a look, that's David Breiner.
Yes.
So that could be playing some part of it. But on the moment, Alex Holton is right behind there.
Yeah, it does look like Chris Daniel is going to be held up here through the S's and the section of the track here that they're entering, which is called Thunder Valley. Because these are parts of the track where it's essentially a single line. I was just going to say where you can't really pass. Of course, they both managed to make the pass.
Look at this. But now Alex Holton has found his rhythm, and he's going to look really inside over here. You can't make that move over here, but you can get really close, and that's exactly what he does over here. Look at that.
Boy. And you know, what you're trying to do there is create pressure to kind of compromise the person's exit out of that last turn. But it looks like Chris held up pretty well as they go into now in turn one.
Chris is doing it really nice.
Yeah, they're both driving great. Now, as they come through the Keyhole here in turn two, you know, Chris is having to take a little bit of a defensive line, but he's going to want to get a good exit here because this is now the biggest opportunity. Alex is going to get draft, and he'll have the option of trying to make a pass on the inside or outside. Both are possible as they come to the end of the straight.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's just going to wait over here because I don't think he's close enough. And he's not going to do a dive bomb. He doesn't need to. There's 20 minutes driven so far. 15 minutes to go. Let's have a quick look in the back over there because I do see that Dempegowski is now making a move over Rusty Pontenberg. And he is taking it from the outside. Can Rusty defend over here? Looks like he's taking a little bit more exit over there. But that means that he's now on the inside. It's that inside-outside game, and Rusty knows how to play that. Look at this. Great move.
Fact, yeah, it's a great move. And these drivers have all got coaching from the Skippy Formula 1 drivers. That line, that inside line, is really the favored one when you're in that too-wide situation. But Pim, isn't it awesome, this track, that you can go too wide like that through these twisty sections? It's an amazing aspect of this.
Oh yeah, and they keep going at it. We are going back to Chris Daniel and Alex Holton because Alex is really closing in now. I don't think he has the patience to wait for this. He needs to overtake, and it does look like he's getting ready for the next straight to get really in there.
Boy,
look at this. Yes, he takes that inside line. I don't think they can hold it. Look at that. Each on one side.
Yep.
Now, Chris Daniel is still ahead.
Yeah. Now here it's going to be interesting. It looks like Alex is going to slot in behind. But if they would have the option of just doing what we saw Rich and Rusty doing, of going too wide. But it looks like they're going to try to take a little safer time here.
All right, so let's go back to Daniel and Rusty because they gotta make the fun here as well. And you do see that Daniel is really getting close as well.
And boy, it looks like Daniel, he's just wanting to look inside. I think he's just trying to pour on the pressure and try to see if he can pressure Rusty into a mistake. But Rusty's looking pretty solid there.
So how is it in the back? Let's have a look at Justin Divin. He drives over there, has Melody changes in his mirrors, 3.5 seconds. That looks quite safe. Is he actually gaining on her? I don't think so. I think Melody is coming back a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And they're driving some pretty solid lap times, and we're going to have to want to keep an eye on the gap there.
Sorry, Peter, I wasn't listening at all. I'm just looking at Justin Devin's car. What an amazing car that is. Look at all those colors. I can't stop and get away from it.
Watching, Alex Othon took his second refueling stop. Dan Pagowski, Jake Ashay are in the pits for their second stop.
All right. I'm going to a different car. Dan Pagowski gets already out of the pits over here. Really dangerous. But seems to work fine over there. See Barry Stockdale right in the back. The busy bee.
And Jake Ashay and Justin Divin. Looks like Jake came out of the pits right behind Justin. And we'll probably try to get some draft help on the back straight.
Now this is going to be a nice run for Jake over here. Look at that, goes immediately to that inside. It's very determined to take that position. A little bit too determined, I think, but is he holding that? Looks like he's holding that. Look at this. Nice inside move.
Here is Justin now has the favored line going through turn 5, but looks like they'll slot in here. Oh, and interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting tactic, but he holds back. I think he was a little bit overpowered. And Jake Ashay has a nice overturn over there. How is Dan Pagowski doing with Barry Stockdale?
Yeah, he's still keeping up the pressure.
So just to make sure that we're correct, Chris Daniel has taken one pit stop and Alex Alton already 2. So now we really have to look at if that undercut really worked well with Chris Daniel. Also works really well with Alex Alton.
That's right. and it's actually a little bit of a game of chess between those two drivers, isn't it?
It is, but I wouldn't expect, like, the first time it was such a big success. Why didn't Chris Daniel did it again? But he's now very content in driving in the front over here.
Yep. I'm looking right now at David Breiner, who's running P13, but you have to give him kudos. He's just running a really solid, steady race. I think he's had a couple of spins that we saw, but it's looking like he's running some good times and doing well for his first time out in Skippy Formula 2.
Oh yeah, and I do want to mention he's we know him from the BRL races, and this morning we had the luck to drive there as well. How many laps did you do, Peter?
Well, it was Talladega. Do I really have to to say how quickly I got disqualified?
Yeah, so, and I had the same problem. Well, we do see that Nate Stroll and David Breiner are going in, so they're all going into the pit. But yeah, I also had a tough time to go over there and to drive. I also got disqualified. So just to drive in a different league is not that easy. And hats off for him to doing that. And while we're talking about that, we do see that Melody Changes really defending hard here on Mazza. Mazza is looking on the inside. But I do think that I have watched a couple of things from Melody, and she's not really looking at the back. She's just driving her own drive. Do realize that this weekend she was doing the Suzuka drive, the 10 hours. And I think her team did really, really well. There were some more SNS guys in there. Don't exactly know who, but I thought Spencer Clark did an amazing job in that team as well. And while we see she's not even defending. Look at that. Nope. Knows how to run this corner. Gives a little bit on that inside and then moves out very, very nicely.
Well, she took the perfect line through the keyhole, so she didn't compromise her exit one bit. And looks like that will give her a chance to hold her position. Although, of course, the draft effect is so strong in these skippies.
Yeah, and I moved up a little bit because I see Jake. Jake and Nate Strules. And while I'll look at that, Jake Ashay gets a really easy spot because Nate couldn't hold it. And then we immediately have a pack over there on the back. Nate Strules, Nicholas Matza, and Melody Change now all in that pack.
Hey, Pen, so Chris Daniel, Rusty Pondberg, and Rich Butler are in the pits, and that has allowed Alex Othon to easily take the lead. And so the undercut did work again, giving Alex Othon the big advantage.
I was just thinking Chris Daniel could have said, yeah, I told you so. So that means that we only need Joe Zubo and Barry Stockdale and Nicholas Massa and Melody Change back, and the rest all has done their second pit stop. So yes. Rich Butler looks really smart over there in that third position.
Boy, Rich has been coming on so strong this season, and he's always been such a solid driver, but he's gotten like real speed as of late, and it's showing up here with his P3 running.
And it's funny that he's always having the same livery. He's one of the few who keeps that nice livery of, I think it's the Air Force. Always recognize him in that one.
Yeah, it's always easy to know which one is Rich.
Yeah, and then we have Rusty Pontenberg right behind there, Dan Bogowski, Joe Zubo, Barry Stockdale, and after that is number 8, Jake Ashay. Well, if Jake want to do something in the championship, he needs to drive a little bit faster.
Well, he is driving some great lap times. The thing I wonder that might have thrown Jake off a little bit is he hasn't done his early pit strategy like normal. And I wonder if that has thrown him off a bit in this race.
I can definitely see how that goes. And while we're talking about that, we see that Alex Alton is doing a 1:35.7. Oh, and he doesn't like any pylons. Look at that. Hits them. Always like the drivers who do that, but he's now 6.5 seconds ahead. That is quite a bit of a run.
Yeah, boy. Well, he gained about 3 seconds just from his undercut strategy on the second fuel stop, but he's just stretched it out since then.
Yeah, and he had...
I think Rich Butler is actually closing in a little bit, making up ground on Chris Daniel. Still, about 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds back from Chris Daniel, but it was about 4 seconds just a lap or two ago.
Yeah, we do see him.
Yeah, back in P10, Melody Chance, Nicholas Matza are no tail. It feels like Melody has been in a battle with half the field.
But she's difficult to pass. I think she showed that in our last races, but here it's quite clear. Look at that. And I do have to say that beautiful livery she made, because I know she makes those liveries herself. But wow. Look at that, Nicholas Matza, he's right behind there.
Melody's, when you watch it on track, her car, she has a very distinctive driving style. There's a lot more movement, a lot more sliding, especially at the rear end, than you see a lot of drivers. And so it reminds me a little bit of Jake Ashay, is a little bit like that when you watch him on track.
Well, and now Nicholas Matza has a really good run. Look at that, he's really nearly in that gearbox.
Looks like Joe Zubo got his second pit stop, and Barry Stockdale. So that just leaves Melody and Nicholas as the only two drivers who haven't made a second refueling stop.
Well, and Nicholas is making a move, but he can't hold that one. And look at this, he goes again, and really close, but he is taking a run right now on that inside. And this is where he makes that move. Look at this. Really nicely done. Finally can take that action.
Now, if Melody stays here, she'll get the favored inside line in turn 5, but it looks like she'll back out. Well done, safely done by both drivers.
Yeah, and they do have to remember that they have to go to the pit in one go. They have so much fun driving outside. It's like, oh yeah, we'll do this. How is it going with the other drivers? How's Jake Ashay? He's moved up to the 6th position after all those pit stops. Is he getting any closer to Dan Pegowski? We still have 4 minutes to go. But 9 seconds, that is a long time.
That's a long ways back, and you know, it's mysterious to me because Jake is running some good lap times, and so I don't know if there was an incident off track that we missed, but you know, it's a little out of character to see that kind of gap there.
Yeah, I think the biggest race that we have currently is Nicholas Mazza together with Melody Chain. So let's have a quick look at them. They're now both in the pit stop.
Yep. And you know, pit stops are probably a little bit of a new thing for both drivers. So one of the developmental aspects of Skippy Formula 2 is learning.
Yeah, and I hear that Melody is not driving on a pit limiter, so she is doing that all manual. But seems that she did a nice job, but can't hold back yet to Nicholas Mazza. He's really a lot quicker. 1.2 right now.
Yep.
And we actually see that if we look at the back of her, that Justin Divin comes in really close. Is he going to make that move?
Well, now this is a new pack with Nicholas Mazza, Melody Chance, and Justin Divin.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I think right behind there we do see, just to make sure, Kurt Smith still driving with the number 13. Maybe that's what he should change, because driving with number 13 and then also on number 13 is maybe not the way to go. I do like his bright green livery over here. And then all the way on the back we have David Miller. And he is getting now the black flags. Interesting to see if he can actually manage those. But let's have a quick look with Barry Stockdale. Barry Stockdale is driving right behind Joey Zubo.
Well, in fact, you know, Barry is actually making up some ground there, and it looks like he's going to possibly benefit a little bit on this.
David Breiner made a really nice move over there. And oh! That was Joe Zubo and Barry who crashed over there.
Yes.
Let's have a quick look what exactly happened, because Joe Zubo was driving over there. Made a really nice move. And then he's on that outside. Oh, hits the grass. Yeah, and then he just barely hits them. David Breiner is lucky that he can go past there. That's for them a big disappointment, because they will drop back a little bit to position 9. How's it going with Rich Butler? Because is he coming closer to Chris Daniel, or is this also a run case?
Yeah, I've been watching that gap to Chris Daniel, and it's remained pretty steady at about 4.5 seconds. And so this top 3 are pretty strung out, with Alex Othon having about 4.5 second gap over Chris Daniel running in P2, and then another 4 seconds or so to Rich Butler in P3. We are starting to see a battle developing for P4, though, between Rusty Pottenberg in P4 and Dan Pegowski in P5. And Dan has really caught up into Rusty's draft, and I almost wonder if there's some damage in Rusty's car, because it looks like he is lacking some straight line speed. And in fact, we're seeing Daniel looking on the outside coming into turn 4. Now, what we'll see here is looks like Daniel will back out for turn 5.
Yeah, but he is going to fight it up here again, I think.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to see. Oh, he does slide a little bit too much, and this is a good opportunity for Rusty to get away a little bit. I think it's over for now. Waiting for another opportunity for Dan Pegowski.
looks like everyone is on white flag, so I think Alex Othon is about to cross the finish line to win the race.
And he is, and that is a nice victory from Alex Alton. He is celebrating right over there. And then we see Chris Daniel coming 7 seconds behind him. And Rusty, what?
No,
What happened over there? Rich Butler was really close suddenly.
Yes.
Rusty Pontenberg can hold it from Dan Pagowski. And if we see it correctly, then Jake Ashay comes in as well. But what happened with Chris Daniel? Because was he braking too early? Here we see Nate Strules coming in. And then we have to wait a little bit for Barry Stockdale. So that was an interesting race. A lot of things happened.
Well, I think there were just lots of 2-car and 3-car battles all up and down the field. You could tell all these drivers were kept really busy for the entire 35 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Do we already get the results, or are we just gonna watch?
The last driver just crossed Justin Divin, crossing the start-finish line now.
All right. Yeah, that always takes a little while. Great job, especially on his livery. But also nice to see him back again, together with Kurt Smith and David Breiner. We do have the results in, so let's have a quick look. We see that Alex Alton was the winner. Congratulations for him. Chris Daniel on the second position, 8.2 seconds behind him. And then Rich Butler really closing in on Chris Daniel on that last little bit. And we see Rusty Pontenberg on the fourth position with that Willy Wonka Racing. Awesome job. Dan Pagowski, fifth position. Jake did come back a little bit and survived on that sixth position. And then we see Nate Strules, Barry Stockdale, Joe Zubo on the ninth position, Nicholas Matza on the 10th, Melody Change on the 11th position. We saw a lot of fights. But eventually on that 11th position, just before Justin Divin on number 12 and Kurt Smith on number 13. And our last driver is David Breiner, but awesome job for at least finishing. It's one lap behind, but he had that incident, and great that he actually completed everything. So that was it for our race on Sunday night Skippy. Peter, what do you think? Shall we take a small break and then quickly go through our second race, the Formula 1 Sunday night Skippy?
I'm looking forward to Formula 1. It's going to be even faster and probably with about twice as many drivers on track, so it should be wild.
Oh yeah, no, this is going to be very, very exciting. So wait around, I think, 10-15 minutes and we will continue. Welcome back. All right, Peter, we're back here in mid-Ohio for our first Formula One race over here. How many people do we have on the field already? Do you know that?
Well, it looks like we have 33 drivers in the field, which is going to be crazy on this wonderful track. You know, Pim, in the Discord this week, we just saw the Sunday Night Skippy League members just love this track. I love this track. And we're all kind of scratching our heads because on the iRacing service, it doesn't seem that popular. There haven't been many splits in the official sessions, but man, we're definitely looking forward to this race tonight.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward, especially to see how the big boys drive this track, because there's so many different lines, and I'm never sure what is the fastest, and I always feel slow in this one. So I'm really looking forward to see if we see some fast guys making their way.
Well, Jeffrey Decker is about to start his first flying qualifying lap. Should we hop in his cockpit and watch him?
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
So he's just crossed the start-finish line, and this turn one left is really fast and incredibly tricky. It's hard to see where the turn-in point is. And then as we go up the hill here, it's a short straight, but since it's uphill, there is actually passing opportunities as you go into the big hairpin called the Keyhole, which is turn 2. Really important to get a great exit here, because as you get this exit out of turn 2, you go down the longest straight, which is called the speed trap. And as we round this little kink, this is flat out turn 3 called the speed trap, the best passing opportunity on the whole track is at the end of this long straight called turn 4, which is called China Beach. And then turn 5, apex is right at the crest of this hill, incredibly lightweight, hard to find grip. You compress the springs going into turn 5 and entering the S's. And this is all flat out in third gear. As you go down, now you have a very tricky right-hander through a section called Thunder Valley. Easy to run out of track on the left there. Watch out for some spins if people touch the grass. As we enter here, take a little jab of brake and set up to enter into the carousel, one of the most dangerous turns in this whole course, as you really try to maximize your speed out of the final turn 13 onto the front straight. A beautiful lap by Jeffrey Decker, and in fact a 1:35.95 on cold tires, which is just an insanely great time.
Yeah, that's a good time, but we also see Adam Wright is also not doing bad at all. He's on that third position already. That good old Chicago livery. Look at that, 0.06 behind Jeffrey Decker.
Wow, right at a 136 flat and provisional P3, and then no surprise, Leo Ovcharov sitting on the provisional pole after one flying lap with a 135.66.
Yeah, we've seen that before, but we also seen that Leo is not the best in doing pit stops. So really interesting to see how much he practiced actually on the track and how much he did in that pit stop, and see if he can improve on that. Do you actually know if he got a penalty for that incident that we saw last time?
I don't know what happened, but for the viewers who didn't tune in or maybe forgot
who didn't watch last race, man, that was an exciting race.
It was an incredible race, and Leo took the win, but there was some controversy on one of the pit stops where there was a nose-to-tail incident involving Jeffrey Decker and Leo Ovcharov, and with Leo kind of misjudging the timing of the braking for the pit entry. And causing a bit of a kerfuffle.
Bit of a kerfuffle. He had a complete pit entry that he closed manually. And I think only McLeod was really lucky with that one. And the rest all had some damage on it. But luckily they all had a pit stop and we could continue. But that will have implications for this race. So I do hear that from Ray Bartnikowski, thank you, that there is a drive-through penalty for Leo. So he can be in the front, but will also be in the back. And what about Chris Herrera. Chris Herrera is back and immediately on the second position currently. Look at that.
Well, Chris, yeah, you have to say that Chris is one of the specialists on this track. Sunday Night Skippy has been to Mid-Ohio several times, and Chris is always up in front here, and it's just a track that I think that suits his driving style, and we're seeing that right here. He just had to move. He moved, big news, he and his family moved from California to Arizona, and so he was out of commission for a few races, but he's set up again, and he'll be driving from the desert here in virtual Mid-Ohio.
Wow, well, he does immediately a very good job. But what about Mike Bowers? Drives currently on that fourth position. We know he's always right in that fourth position, and then suddenly when something happens, he takes the lead. And I want to make a big shout out. Scott Bell is currently on the second position. Oh, but is already moving back, but still in the fifth position. That's an awesome drive from him. Look at that.
Yeah. And we might see some more shakeups in the running order here because in Skippy Formula One, drivers get 10 minutes to put in four flying laps, and the drivers have only done 3 laps so far.
Yeah, and I do see on the number 23, Max. I definitely think that he can do a lot better than that. So I'm curious to see if he can move up a little bit.
This is just a track that's beloved by Skippy Formula One and actually the entire Sunday Night Skippy League. It just has a little bit of everything for these Skippy Formula 2 cars. There's the long draft straight from turn 2 to turn 4. There are hills and really challenging technical S's, and those technical S's you can take too wide, and so we'll see a lot of that in this track. There's the danger of the carousel. We'll probably see some incidents there.
We probably will see some incidents.
Yeah. It just has a little bit of everything, and it's really great. And Pim, about the controversies over the pit entry kerfuffle from last week, Mid-Ohio, the pit entry is just crazy short and dangerous. And so we'll have to see. Typically, we do see 1 or 2 drivers losing control on the pit entry here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and I do think that most of the drivers have finished their laps. We see a lot of people coming in. So that means that this will probably be a big part of the qualification. And then, of course, we're going to get our briefing. Haven't been there in a long time. Is the briefing long, Peter?
Well, I think the briefing has become really thorough and complete. It's, of course, all drivers in Sunday Night Skippy are required to read and to understand the sporting code. But always at every track, there are a few things that are special or particular to the track, and also good reminders about, for example, what constitutes a dive bomb. What are the requirements for overlap, and so on. I'm sure there's going to be some talk about being careful in the pit entry here.
Well, I do see some people are already talking about our qualification in the chat. And there is one surprise. Matt Zepka is on the 10th position. Well, to be honest, I don't. It's not a big surprise. He is growing a lot. We do recognize. We see him a lot in the GT3 driving, in that Porsche of him, and he's getting quite fast. So it's not really a surprise for me. But I do see a new name on the 13th position, Mark Breiner. Have you seen that? He's actually driving with the number 24, Peter. He is driving with the number 24. What's this? You're one race gone, and they take over your number.
Well, and there's news I think that we probably aren't at liberty to share today, but it's great to see newcomers like Mark and see them so fast. And with Matt Shupka, this is an incredibly humble driver. He will tell you up and down how slow he is. But we're seeing that that's just a bunch of humility on his part. The reality is he is coming on strong and has potential to be a top 10 driver in Skippy Formula One.
No, definitely. Hey, and Peter, we can listen into the briefing. Maybe have a quick look.
Next week and so on.
Sure.
Basically, just remember the golden rule: race how you'd want to be raced. In SNS, we do not do dive bombs. When attempting an overtake into a corner, wheels have to overlap wheels. If an overtaking car does not have that overlap, they have to back out.
Ooh, that
In
sounds
case of losing
serious.
control of your car, please hold your brakes. Any accidents caused by your failure to do so will be on you. If you go off the track, only rejoin the track when it's clear to do so, and please rejoin parallel to the racing line. In Sunday Night Skippy, all corners are contestable. We do not have no passing zones. We do take risk into account when investigating incidents and deducting safety points. The more risk a driver contributes to a situation, the greater our expectation that their moves are executed safely and with precision. Blue flags are instructional, not informational. What this means is that as soon as a driver receives a blue flag, they have until the end of the next complex of corners to encourage the faster.
All right, well, we'll leave him alone with that one. Maybe it's good to have a quick look at the qualification, because Leo Oktarov took that first position in a 1:34.9. So amazing job for him on that. But Chris Ferreira was just 1/10 away to actually get that pole. Really nicely done over him. And then Jeff Snavely, third position. Adam Wright from Think Fast on the fourth position, and Mike Bowers on the fifth position. Jeffrey Decker's dropped a little bit over there, 4/10 behind Leo. That's quite a bit for one lap. But he's on that sixth position. And then we see Scott Bell on the seventh position with the Angry Dads. Oh, and I do see that we're actually going back on track already. So we will see all the drivers over there. But I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, and Leo Ovcharov is on pole, but the real pole is Chris Herrera, because Leo Ovcharov, within the first 3 laps, is going to have to serve a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and that's devastating. But he's done that before already. I think it's already his second time. So maybe that can actually, his preparation for that is there. I do see that all the cars are already lined up.
Now, on this first opening lap, we're going to want to watch if everyone can get through turn 1 safely and turn 4 at the end of the long back straight. Those on cold tires both can be pretty tricky, and add in some close-in traffic like you get on the first lap, and things can go wrong.
All right, Peter, we're off, and look at this. They make a nice move over here. See that? Look at that. That's a lot of Skippies driving away. And
what a sight.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to look at that first turn. Look at this. Looks like everybody has made that first turn really nicely. And Leo Oktarov is taking that first bit over here. And we're here in... Look at this. It goes 3 wide.
Oh, it is, what a sight. And it looks like everyone is through turn 1 and turn 2 safely. And now just hold on to your seats, because turn 4 on cold tires with lots of traffic is a crazy, crazy situation.
Well, currently we don't see... Oh, we already see some moves over here. I think that's Gurkan Demir who's trying to defend. We see Pete Van Broughton coming in there. Is on the 9th position.
Yeah,
and it's already one big line over here. Look at that.
And everyone safely through now as they enter into Thunder Valley, and now the last high-risk section, which is the carousel. Again, especially on cold tires, is just, you're just hunting for grip. And it looks like Leo is diving into the pits for his drive-through penalty. And so that's going to leave Chris Herrera in the lead, followed by Jeff Snavely, Adam Wright, Mike Bowers, Jeffrey Decker, Carl Dronke.
Yeah, and this is going to cost Leo quite some spots, or not all the spots. Look at this, he is dropping like a rock over there.
Yeah, and it looks like Leo is coming out in P26 behind Daniel Pogowski.
And what is he going to do? He's going to push all the way to come in front. So that's going to be an interesting fight over there.
It looks like Mike Bowers and Adam Wright up in P5. It looks like we may even have a 3 wide situation.
We do have a 3 wide situation, and Jeffrey Decker is taking there the smart move. Adam Wright is going on the inside and is now on the inside and can't hold that. And that means that Mike Bowers is going there, but also called Dronky. And there we see also Scott Bell. Look at that, Scott Bell on to position number 7. He's trying also to make that move.
And watch out, Pete Mulbron and Matt Shepka have also moved up positions. They're running P8 and P9.
Yeah, that's because of Leo, of course. But look at that. After that, nobody really made a big mistake yet. And it's just one big line of drivers. Great to see. We do see some smoke in the back, but so far everything is okay.
I am really impressed. This is... It cannot, if you haven't driven on this track, it can't be emphasized enough just how slick and how tricky these technical sections are on cold tires. And for the entire field,
and look at this, Scott Bell is moving around over there, was really nearly losing the car, but hold it very nicely over there. And we do see him make a move on, is that Peter Nordwell? Peter Nordwell takes that inside from Matt Zepka. Look at that, he takes a really nice move. And who's on that inside as well over there? Is that Mats Zepka? Yeah, that's still Mats Zepka trying to defend really bad. And JR is going to have a big run for there. Is JR making that move? Is he called Dronky making a move on Adam Wright?
And you are just seeing the draft effect there, that JR was really able to close up the gap. And now we have that really tight foursome. And actually, it's like the top 14 are still nose to tail.
Yeah, but what is this? Jeffrey Decker has moved himself all the way up to the first place. He was a little bit in the back, but as soon as Leo left, he just taked over and he made a lot of moves over here. Great to see that. Look at this. Chris Herrera right in the back over there.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, in Skippy Formula 2 in the previous race, we saw drivers were willing to be a little bit patient, stay in P2, stay in the draft, save fuel and so on. But in Skippy Formula 1, you get bonus points for leading lots of laps. And so there's an incentive in the season standings to actually lead multiple laps. And so we're going to see these guys up front fight to be able to lead laps.
Yeah, and we do see that Jeff Snavely was having a little bit of a look at what Chris Herrera was doing. But Chris is closing that door immediately and following Jeffrey Decker very, very closely. But same can be said for Mike Bowers, Adam Wright, Carl Dronky, Scott Bell, Pete Broughton. That's really that big group of 7 drivers now that are together.
Yeah. I'm looking back also at P12. We're seeing Joshua Dancy, Gurkan Demir, and Mark Breiner also just really not giving any room to each other and just really...
But what do you think about the group with Mats Zepka? Mats Zepka is straight in the middle of that 10th position. He's driving behind Peter Nordwell right now, who made a really nice move again. And here he is trying to get back, but not letting it happen over there. Peter Nordwell is going straight behind Pete Broughton, and J.R. Hoops is right behind there.
Boy, I'm really pulling for Matt Shepka. I don't know about you, Pim. It would be great to see him snag a top 10 finish in this race.
Well, at least stay as long out as possible and get that first position again. He did that once before. But I do have to say I also root a little bit for Scott Bell. In that 7th position, he's really running hard on up here.
Indeed. Well, we are starting to see a little bit of separation. The top 6, consisting of Jeff Decker, Chris Herrera, Jeff Snavely, Mike Bowers, Adam Wright, Carl Dronky, they are creating a gap now of about 2 seconds over the next group being led by Scott Bell and Pete Broughton.
Yeah, do you think Scott Bell is now holding up and Pete Broughton could go a little bit faster?
Boy, that's a good question. It does look like, Pete is one of those patient drivers who does think hard about fuel conservation. And so Pete, maybe he's being held up, but he might also be happy to do this as long as they don't lose too much more ground, with the idea that Pete might be able to make up the time in the pit stop.
And then, of course, we missed a spot. We do see that Carl Dronke has overtaken here. And we see a big fight over here with Rusty Pontenberg. Oh, and Rusty Pontenberg is making a small mistake over there. And oh, nice, can move away. No damage and nobody's hurt in that. I'm not going to show any more new drivers because they're going to crash immediately. But let's go back to Pete Broughton and that pack. Because is Pete Broughton going to make a move over here? I do feel that they're getting a little bit closer to Adam Wright over there.
Yeah, I think that they are making closing up the gap. And so Scott is more than holding his own. And they're less than 2 seconds in closing. They were more than 2 seconds on the previous lap. But boy, that is a tight group. Scott Bell, Pete Mulbrodden, Peter Nodwell, Matt Shepka, J.R. Hoops, and Joshua Dancy.
Yeah, and I do look that Pete Mulbrodden is really holding back. And I know Peter Nodwell can do that for a long time as well, but Pete Mulbrodden needs to pass Scott Bell. Does he want to have that contact with Adam Wright, with that top 7? Because it looks like they're running a little bit away, and Pete has the speed right now. Is he making that move? He's going on the outside. Scott Bell's defending really hard on the inside and can hold that line. Look at this.
Boy.
And they're going too wide. No, they're not going too wide. Pete Broughton is going right in the back over there.
Yeah, once we get into the latter part of the race, I wouldn't be surprised if those situations do turn into two wide situations all the way through these S's.
I do want to mention that we see some nice fights in the back over there with Sean Trek, Jeff Torbeck, and Leo Oktarov. He's already on the 17th position, so he moved up quite a bit as well. Is making those moves. But he's a long way from the first positions.
Indeed, and I think that when you see Leo, he's now 17th, as you said, and then right behind is another just close-in train of cars. Jeff Torbeck, Sean Trediak, Steve Dewar, Benjamin Harris, Max DiGiacomo, and Alex Othon, who was the Skippy Formula 2 race winner.
Yeah, and do pay attention about Matt Zepka. He is going into the pit very early, so I was hoping that he was going to stay late. He is actually already in, so he was very, very early. He's going to do an undercut. He does. If you looked at Formula 2, you do see that it worked. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do over here. But we also see Jeff Snavely. Jeff Snavely is looking on that third position. He's the one.
Like Rich Butler's also in the pits.
All right.
I kind of get it for Matt Shepka because, that was such a high-pressure, high-risk situation that he was in. And so this gives him a chance for some clear track.
It does give him a clear track, but I do think, I'm curious if Jeffrey Decker or Chris Herrera watched the Formula 2 and know that undercut is really working up here, because that could make a big difference.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. It's surprising how strong the undercut effect is at this. Now, for viewers who aren't familiar with what we mean by undercut, it's this idea of taking the early pit stop, giving yourself some clear track so that on your out lap, you're able to make up some ground. And that ends up working better at some tracks than others. And what we're seeing here is that it seems to work really well at this track. Leo Ofshaw now is in the pit lane.
I saw that too. So he's dropping even further down back. And we see Jeffrey Decker, Chris Herrera, and Jeff Snavely running up here. 1, 2, 3. But yeah, that's going to... It's a whole big group. Adam Wright is in there. We know his tactics. We know how quickly he can do those pit stops.
Well, I wonder, if it stays like this when they all come into the pits, you have to believe Jeffrey Decker is going to be a little bit nervous about Chris Herrera behind him, just based on what happened last week. Oh,
yeah, but we do know Chris Herrera is an old-timer in this league. he should be able to pit. He has no excuse on this. I think it's amazing that Chris Herrera stays that long behind him, because I know he's the one that's not afraid to throw in and go on that first position. But it really looks like Jeffrey Decker has a lot of speed. We didn't see that yet in the qualification, but up here he's doing awesome.
Well, traditionally at least, Chris Herrera is one of those drivers that loves to kind of earn those laps led bonus points, and so you would expect Chris, if he ever does get a chance, to try to make a move here on Jeffrey Decker.
No, definitely. Let's have a quick look in the back. I see this whole pack with Brian Perez, Alex Alton is back up here. We see Benjamin Harris, Max, and now we see Steve Durr actually passing Jeff Torbeck here in the front. So also up here there's a lot of racing to do. Dan Pagowski right behind Darren Perez, and Brian Perez is making a little bit of an extra. Really hate the pylons, and where is he?
Wow, it is amazing the amount of too wide action that goes on in that turn 2 keyhole. And what it does is it just then extends into a too wide situation all the way down this back straight.
And then you do have to make that move, and I see something happening over there. Looks like Dan Pagowski and Chris Girondellis.
Yeah, George and Dallas, yes.
Look at this, but he can't make that Dan. He's really, but he's getting a lot closer, and Brian Perez, of course, after that off track has to recover a little bit. So that's going to be a nice fight. How's it going by position number 10? Because we have another big group over there. Look at this. Mark Reiner, our newcomer, is fighting over there with Gurken de Meer and Thomas Fodos. Look at that. He's also going really hard in there.
Yeah, and Joshua Dancy, Aaron Law, and Peter Nodwell are right there with that pack.
And we do see Pete Broughton going into the pit. So that's an interesting fact.
And Peter Nodwell right behind.
Pete Broughton, we do have you here in the broadcast. How is it going?
It's tough going, man. It's a real tough crowd tonight.
It's a tough job, but you are waiting over now. Now you have some free air. Is this the time where you're going to run?
Well, we obviously don't have any pace to be a huge threat to the guys ahead. So we're going to see if we can perfectly execute on fuel strategy, see if we can get lucky on some draft.
All right, man. Thanks very much for coming into the booth, and good luck. We'll see you after the race. Look at this. He's so versatile. He can actually drive over here, but he did have to make room for Rusty Pontenberg. But he's really getting close on there. Look at that. Immediately makes that move. He knows he's on television right now.
Well, I think Pete Broughton was probably talking to you, Pim, at the same time managing his pit stop and doing all the fueling math in his head.
Yeah, and then to finish it off, he just passes Rusty Pontenberg. Look at that, how awesome, really nice job. And Rusty can go behind him. It's not a shame to drive behind Pete Broughton and take his draft, because that could help you a lot in this race. But what about the front? So nobody's going to pit. No worry, we'll just keep on driving.
Pim, I'm looking back at P27. Kyle Reed, Dan Pagowski, and Brian Perez are in their own, battle back there, and it's Kyle is actually up 4 spots from where he qualified, and it just goes to show all the way up and down the field, these drivers are kept really busy. They're just battles everywhere. Meanwhile, back up front, it's just this epic battle, with Jeffrey Decker, Chris Herrera, Jeff Snavely, Mike Bowers, Carl Dronke, Adam Wright, Scott Bell up there. JR Hoops is closing in. But, that top, 6 cars from Jeffrey Decker to Adam Wright, they have just been stuck together like glue. As Ian Worrell would say if he were in the broadcast, you could throw a blanket over those 6 cars.
He would say that, wouldn't he?
what'll be interesting is they're probably all waiting for Jeffrey Decker to be the first to enter the pits. We're going to want to watch to see who manages their pit stop the best.
Yeah,
and it looks like Jeffrey is diving in, along with Adam Wright and
Carl Drunke, Mike Bowers, Scott Bell.
Yep. Oh, and Adam Wright did not. He stayed out.
Yeah, and the rest is coming in up here. Look at this. Scott Bell's going to pit up here with the guys. And I'm curious to see if Jeffrey Decker, what he's going to do.
They're definitely taking on first fuel.
Jeffrey Decker is going out already, and immediately the rest of the gang is following. I do see that. I think it's Adam Wright that is moving quicker. Or am I wrong in that? No, it's Mike Bowers that made up positions together with Carl Drunke. Look at this, and suddenly we see Pete Mulbrotten. His undercut did work. Look at that. Because he's a lot closer right now, and he's driving on his own.
Yeah. So it is incredible how powerful the undercut here is at this track. You're absolutely right, Pim. Pete Mulbrotten has made up a lot of ground here.
Yeah, and we do see here that Carl Drunke actually overtook Mike Bowers. Really nice move on that straight, and he's trying to follow Jeffrey Decker. But Jeffrey Decker is really getting along. He's getting away over here. Look at this. Carl Drunke, then Pete Mulbrotten right behind there. And we see Chris Herrera, Jeff Snavely, and Adam Wright going also into the pit right now. So I am curious if we drive along with Jeffrey Decker, what we're going to see.
Yeah, and we'll get a really good sense of whether the undercut's also extending to this lead pack.
Yeah, so we do expect that he's going to pass everybody over here, and he's going to go for that number one position. It is how much is he going to gain over here? As we see that everybody has pitted, and they are coming on the exit, and we do see Chris Herrera, but Chris Herrera is not yet on speed. So that makes, look at this, he is just barely in front, and Chris Herrera takes that second position of Carl Drunke. But I do think that Jeffrey, it's 9. Look at this, he's nearly got the draft off. If he can push up here, now he needs to push.
Well, in fact, I think, it's probably out of draft range right now. And so that undercut did seem to benefit Jeffrey. We do have, also, Carl Drunke, Jeff Snavely, Adam Wright, Mike Bowers. And then Pete Mulbrotten has now worked his way up to P7.
Yeah. And who's behind there? Who do you think is behind there?
Hey, Matt Shepka.
Look at this. Matt Shepka is running on the 8th position. So that undercut does really work over here. I am so curious to see what we're going to see in the second they're going to do a second pit stop. So he can do this another time. He can move up to 4th if he does this smart. Because those guys in the front, they keep staying close to each other and don't want to make that move.
Now, it does look like Chris Herrera is making up some ground or closing the gap a little bit on Jeffrey Decker. And so Chris is now within
He's been in the draft, so he can come back. But I do think that Jeffrey Decker has a lot more speed over here. While I say that, Carl Drunke drives the fastest time. 1:34.7 I saw. Oh, and Leo is already on the 11th position.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Pete Mulbrotten is, there's this lead pack of 6, and then Pete Mulbrodden's running P7 about 4 seconds back. And so we'll want to keep an eye on whether he can close up the gap to that lead pack.
Yeah, but it is 2.7 seconds. That is a lot less than he had. He is losing a little bit right now because they're all gaining, but I think he needs to do another very short pit stop, and he will be a lot closer.
Absolutely. Now, there's a great battle brewing back for 10 with JR Hoops, battle for P11, involving JR Hoops, Peter Nodwell, and Gurkan Demir. Pretty tight.
Yeah, Scott Bell has dropped a little bit and is now behind Leo Oktarov. Is on that 10th position and has JR Hoops right behind him. And after that is Peter Notwell, Gurkan Demir, Joshua Dancy, and Thomas Fotos. Yeah, Aaron Law and Mark Breiner. Everybody's behind there. Look at this. Like, if you're not here, you're not in the game. And we do see some interesting moves over here. Gurkan Demir is defending hard for Joshua Dancy. And keep that control of the car. Needs to be in front, needs to follow Peter Notwell. But it seems that this group stays together. What about Chris Herrera? Because Chris Herrera is getting really close. He is getting a little bit antsy. Is he getting antsy enough? Because this is not the Chris Herrera I knew. Chris Herrera would have jumped over here. But look at this. He is running really close to Jeffrey Decker. Jeffrey Decker is going to defend on that inside line. And here is where Chris Herrera takes that line. He's going to take overtake. And he is clear of that. Jeffrey Decker lets him go. They don't lose that much time. And this is the chance for Carl Donkey to come back.
Yeah, it looked to me like Jeffrey Decker facilitated that pass a little bit, which was probably smart.
It was smart because he didn't lose that much time. Otherwise, he would have lost a lot more time than he would have done with this. So smart move of them.
Right, and if he defended too hard, he might even have lost a position to Carl Dronke. And so I think this really ensured that he can keep the battle up with Chris.
Yeah, and he is immediately very close to Chris. But yeah, that's the same for Carl Dronke and Jeff Snavely, who are right behind there, doing exactly the same lines. And then we see Adam Wright. Adam Wright has a little bit of difficulty, needs to be a lot closer over there. As we do see Jeff Snavely having a look for Carl Dronke, but he's not going to make that move.
But we are seeing things string out a little bit now. It does look like the gap is being maintained back to Pete Mulbrodin in P7, and then Pete Mulbrodin's gap ahead of Matt Shepka. But in P11, Peter Nodwell is still leading this pretty tight pack involving Peter Nodwell, JR Hoops, Joshua Dancy, Gurkan Demir, Thomas Fotos, Aaron Law, and Mark Breiner. And so that
yeah, and I'm seeing it right that Matt Shepka is actually in front of Leo Oktarov. Leo Oktarov is trying to make his move right now, and Matt is just not having it. Driving there simply takes that, giving him that. That's not the most important part, but he immediately has Scott Bell right behind him. And you don't want to give him too many positions, Matt. You're driving very well over here. Maybe it's time to go for a pit stop.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad thought, Pim. I think the pit window is probably open by now for the final pit stop.
But you have to take a long run then. That's the bad thing of it. And he is behind Leo, so hey, that's not a bad drive person to have.
That's right.
And maybe with the three of them.
Yeah. In fact, if Matt can stay in Leo's draft, that'll make him very, very hard. It'll make it very, very hard for Scott Bell to pass.
Yeah, and we did miss something on the front. Jeffrey Decker has overtaking Chris Herrera one more time. So they're running now together. And we do see that Chris Herrera is making another move. And Carl Dronke is going right behind there. And that's going to be interesting. Look at this. Carl Dronke is taking that inside line.
It looked like there was contact between Carl Dronke and Chris Herrera that has caused Chris to lose all momentum in the keyhole.
Even worse, he's actually going to park his car over there. And this is really, really sad because he was doing so well. What actually happened over there? Let's have a quick look if we can get that back. Oh, that looked a little bit like netcode. That looked a lot like netcode because Carl didn't have anything. And it doesn't look that bad, but immediately Chris needs to park his car over there. That's really too bad.
It is. It does look like the right rear axle on Chris Herrera's car got damaged, and truly unfortunate.
Yeah, so we have these 6 or 5 drivers. We have Piet Broughton, and then right behind there is Leo Oktarov together with Matt Zepka, who Matt is really holding on over there. Look at that. Leo can't get away. Do you remember that we drove Formula 2 with Matt Zepka? He is and he is going into the pit. Look at that. No, but he immediately can recover it. Doesn't look like he's okay, and he can get his fast repair over here. So,
well, and just like we were saying before the race, Pim, someone was going to do that.
Someone was going to do that, and we do see that Carl Dronke is overtaking Jeffrey Decker. We can't be quiet over here. Look at that. Jeffrey Decker immediately wants to have that turn back and goes for it here on the long turn. Carl Dronke can't defend that, but Jeff Snavely is looking in there as well, and Adam Wright. Adam Wright and Mike Bowers, look at that. They're just waiting over there.
Let's watch this 2 wide situation here. And Carl would have the option of trying to stay 2 wide. Looks like he's going to slot in behind. The advantage of staying on that outside on turn 5 is it gives you the inside line through the S's. But it takes a lot of risk and a lot of nerve to be able to do that.
Oh, and we do see Jeff Snavely having an internet connection problem. Hope that's not that's just one time.
Boy, that's the kind of situation that almost affects Adam Wright running behind Jeff.
Oh, immediately. You're too afraid. You don't know where he's going to go. But it seems that it's okay right now, and Jeffrey Decker is still running in front. Carl Dronke, Jeff Snavely, Adam Wright, and Mike Bowers right behind there. And we do see Leo Oktarov going in for a second pit. Look at that,
yes.
on the 7th position, and now dropping back.
Thomas Photos also coming in for his second stop.
Alex Olton being on the 16th position, now also going into the pit. And how is JR doing? JR Hoops, look at that. JR Hoops is running on that 8th position, right behind Peter Nordwell. And right behind there is Joshua Dancy.
Yeah, JR, I get the sense that he's been running a really solid, patient race.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, and just steadily moving up. And
we do see them going here 2 wide. Is that Gurkan Demir? Gurkan Demir is trying to overtake Aaron La, and that works really well. And then immediately Mark Breiner wants to have something over there as well. So they're not finished. But Aaron La defends this line quite well. Seems that they're coming out in the same order as they went in. Let's go back to JR Hoops, because JR Hoops is now really getting into the back of Peter Nordwell. Looks like he can make a move in the next straight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he can get a good exit here out of the carousel. It looks like he's got a great line, and so this gives then a good run down here on the front straight.
And he is going to try it over here. Look at that. He is going to try. No, he's not going to try it. Oh. He was looking, but he couldn't hold that one. And we do see that Carl Dronke has passed Jeffrey Decker one more time. Why not? We have plenty of time to make a move. Look at that. Carl Dronke is now in the lead. And I do see that Adam Wright is losing a little bit of touch. Is that on purpose, or is he trying to save? And Jeffrey Decker goes here to the outside. Is he making a move? Yes, he's making a move.
Mike Bowers gonna do
yeah,
here?
Mike Bowers is the smart one over here, because he's having a really good line. And he does make a move, but does he make one more move? Because he's here on the exit.
Yes, and again, we will see eventually 2 wide going into the rest of the year. I'm just waiting for it to happen with this lead group of 5. So, the group behind battling for P6, led by Scott Bell, You know, that group, Scott Bell, Peter Nodwell, Jer Hoops, Joshua Dancy, that's another group just like that lead pack of 5 where, you know, as we get down to the final minutes of this race, I think we're going to see some two wide situations through the S's.
Yeah, it's now still very nice. And we do see that Adam Wright went into the pit. So he's going to try to do an undercut on all those people. And why I say that, Scott Bell is going in. Peter Notwell is coming in. Look at that. And now we can drive along with Peter Notwell. See if he can actually gain something on Scott Bell. It looks like they're having exact same speed. But I'm curious to see if when they come out. Oh, and we do see some movement in the front. I was missing that. Look at that. They're going nearly 4 wide over there, or at least 2 wide. Carl Dronke is ahead, but Mike Bowers is now making a move on Jeffrey Decker. Is he going to make that stick? He has done that before over here. Look at this, and he's going to go for the first place. Is he going to go for the first place? He is going to have a look in there. He's in the inside. But then it's really difficult, and Jeffrey Decker is getting really close. This is the driving that we want to see.
Boy, that's so beautifully done. And, you know, you get the feeling that Jeff Snavely is just there. We're just waiting for his chance to pounce on these first 3.
The last 4 minutes, he's going to wake up and then suddenly do an attack. On the moment, he lets everything by Carl Dronke, Mike Bowers, and Jeffrey Decker. And we have 4 left. So... But don't forget Adam Wright. Adam Wright did this undercut, so maybe he can undercut this whole group. Because this group is now going to go in. At least Jeffrey Decker is going in. Carl Dronke. Oh! Did you see? Oh, Jeffrey Decker took a lot of time out of Carl Dronke.
Yeah. It almost looked like there was contact there.
No, I don't see any contact. No, I was driving with them, so that's doing fine. But let's have a quick look, because now we can drive along with Adam Wright. And Adam Wright is now going over the pit. So, is he going to make this? Because they are on the exit already, and I can see someone driving up there.
Adam Wright has a lot more momentum, but it looks like he's going to come out behind Jeffrey Decker.
Behind Jeffrey Decker.
Carl Dronke.
But ahead of Carl Dronke, and a lot of ahead of Carl Dronke. Look at that. That's a big distance. So really, Jeffrey Decker and Adam Wright are doing here the smart thing. And they're making a big move over here. And we do see that Leo Octaro is just passing JR Hoops. And Scott Bell is right behind there as well.
So probably we're going to see Mike Bowers and Jeff Snavely come into the pits this time around, or maybe one more lap after that. And that's going to set up the order of this top group.
Joshua Dancy needs to go in. Gurkan Demir needs to go in. Look at that, Gurkan Demir, 4th position. I mean, he's 12 up.
We see Charlie McCarty in the pits. Max DiGiacomo just exited the pits.
All right, so now they all go to the pit, and now I want to see what happens with those front drivers.
Mike Bowers has just entered the pits, but Jeff Snavely has stayed out.
Jeff Snavely wants to have that 1 bonus point by leading the lap, and he's done that right now. But it does mean he needs to turn a little bit more. And what about Jeffrey Decker? Because Jeffrey Decker is getting haunted by Adam Wright. Look at that, really close by. And Mike Bowers is getting to the pit exit. But it doesn't look like he's going to make that. Or is he going to make that?
No,
he's not going to make that. But he is getting really immediately into the draft. So he's not losing that much. But good undercut for Adam Wright, because he made that move.
Yes.
And that means that Jeff Snavely could be in trouble, because he is leading, but he still needs to go to the pits.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we have Jeff Snavely, Joshua Dancy, Gurkan Demir now running 1, 2, 3, but they have all 3 of them still have to make their second pit stop.
All right, how is Matt Zepka doing? Because he's now on that 17th position. Is this where he is because of an accident? No, I don't think so. And Zepka's passed quite a bit of people, but he did took that early pit. So he's now getting back, but he's right behind Mark Breiner, who's also moved a little bit to the 16th position. Oh, and right in front of there is Aaron La with Thomas Photos.
Oh, Pim, Jeff Snavely now has just gone into the pits.
And Joshua Dancy hasn't. No, Joshua Dancy hasn't, and that means that Joshua Dancy is leading. Haven't seen that for a while. Great to see him suddenly in this lead. I know he has the pit, but hey, it's a great feeling. I would love to do that once.
Gurkan Demir is in the pits, and so now Jeff Snavely is emerging from the pits, and we have this lead group.
And Jeffrey Snavely can't hold that one.
Right, and so we've reconstituted this front pack with Jeffrey Decker, Adam Wright, Mike Bowers, and Jeff Snavely.
Yeah, but for me, Adam Wright is here the big winner because he made the biggest move over here, and he's right behind Jeffrey Decker. He hasn't made a move yet. He just drives along. He's going to do something in the last 2 minutes. Mark my words.
Yeah, and Adam took his second fueling stop first, and so it really seems like the undercut is so powerful at this track.
All right, so the next time when you want to win in Formula 1, you have to watch Formula 2 so that you actually see what the best tactic is. Because this was being done. And yeah, Adam is doing a really good job on that, although I do have to say that Mike Bowers is getting also really close by now. Look at that, all three of them driving along, and Jeff Snavely has difficulties to catch on. Because this could be difficult. This could be difficult for him to actually follow. And look at this, we see Carl Dronke has also dropped back a little bit.
Hey, Pim, if we can go back to P19, Kyle Reed, Alex Othon, and Benjamin Harris. They are in a pretty wild battle for P19.
Yeah, if you have a car like that as Kyle Reed, and there is also always chaos. And Alex Othon has a lot of speed. You know, we've seen that in Formula 2. So, yeah, awesome to see that he can also drive up here. Look at this. He's just 20th position. Great job what they're doing. I do see that Joshua Dancy finally entered the pit together with Jeff Torback. So that means that the order is really restored. And I do want to go back to the front because I see that Mike Bowers has overtaken Adam Wright right now. So I think, how do you call that? The Hulk has awoken. Mike Bowers is awake. Look at this. He's getting really close there.
Well, look at Adam Wright closing up.
Yeah, that's... Oh, if Jeffrey Decker now goes a little bit too early, then they're all three of them out. And maybe that's what Jeff Snavely is thinking, because he's just staying right in the back over there.
Well, let's see. So there's 5 minutes remaining. So after they cross the start-finish line, that probably means 3 laps to go.
We do see that Scott Bell has made had an incident. He's dropping back now, losing a spot to Gurkan Demir. Gurkan Demir, look at this.
It looks like Peter Nodwell also spun off in turn 5, but seems undamaged.
All right, so 5 minutes to go. Let's have a look in the back. Rusty Pontenberg. I see him move. What is he doing? He has a big fight with Dan Pagowski on the moment. Look at that. Willy Wonka Racing.
Well, and these are 2 drivers that know each other really, really well.
Yeah. This is done before. Look at this. Rusty is taking a little bit more of that exit, so of that entry better, so that he can really position himself really right.
Yeah, that could be Daniel also just taking a slightly more defensive line than normal.
Yeah, look at this. Rusty is getting a little bit closer. We see Breiner.
I have to take you back up to the front because Mike Bowers has just taken the lead.
Of course.
Adam Wright is side by side with Jeffrey Decker in turn 4. And
if he had it over there, then you have the next corner. He just barely missed it. But look at that. Jeffrey Decker is awesome in defending. This is Mike Bowers in the front. 41 minutes.
Yeah, and so...
the giant has awoken. He is awake. The blue giant is awake, and he's driving like a madman. But he's not finished with Jeffrey Decker. Jeffrey Decker is driving solid the whole race already. I think has the most speed.
Tim, this is an epic battle, these top 4 drivers. This time around, yes, for sure there'll be 2 laps left after they cross the start-finish line.
All right, and how is it with Leo Oktarov? Look at that. Leo Oktarov is currently 10 seconds away from this group with his pit stop. Man, that guy is fast.
That is incredible. P6, Leo Oktarov, and then Carl Dronke ahead of him in P5.
Yeah, we did saw Carl Dronke right in the back, but on the moment, Mike Bowers is doing really well. And I think Jeffrey Decker has a lot of trouble with Adam Wright. He can't really get rid of him. All right, so now we are going here on the long straight. What are we going to do?
Yeah, they might be willing to be patient here because they're going to get to do this straight one more time after this.
Oh no, Jeffrey Decker goes to the outside. Look at this, and oh, nice move from Mike Bowers. Holds it on that inside line, and Adam Wright is looking inside there as well. They're not touching. Awesome drive. Look at that.
So now Mike has the favorite inside line.
No, but Jeffrey
here.
Decker has the speed. Jeffrey Decker has the speed, and he makes that move. Great move of Jeffrey Decker. Oh man, we should make a 24-hour show of this. This is just amazing.
Wow. And
All
so
right.
they're going to come around here through Thunder Valley and the chute, around the carousel, and get the white flag. And so it's do or die for these 4 drivers now.
All right, so are we going to see, yes, we're going to see the white flag. Is that, are they going to drive now for that victory? Jeff Snavely, come on. Are you going to make that move? Jeffrey Decker is really solid over there, but Adam Wright is going to come. I don't want to move to anything else. Look at this, Adam Wright. Oh.
Oh, looked like Adam compromised his exit there a little bit.
And that's immediately Jeff Snavely going onto the inside.
Adam Wright's coming, achieving overlap on the outside, coming into turn 4. This is really helping Jeffrey Decker, I think.
Yeah, because they're all fighting for that second position. And look at this. Adam Wright going with Mike Bowers in that corner. He needs to look everywhere. Jeffrey Decker right in the front, but also... Oh, we do see that Mike Bowers has moved to the back. So does that mean that we finished with this part? Is Jeffrey Decker gonna win this?
Yeah, it's hard to see. It would take a mistake at this point by Jeffrey Decker. There really aren't passing.
Well, Adam Wright is not finished yet. Adam Wright, is he gonna make that move? Look at this. All 4 of them are coming together. Jeffrey Decker is the smartest one over here. Look at this. Has worked his way up to the front and has the best part of here. Or is Adam Wright going to take that best line? No, he's not. It's Jeffrey Decker who wins. Adam Wright second. Mike Bowers on the third. And Jeff Snavely on the fourth. And a great job from Carl Dronke. 6th position up here. Or is it Leo? No, it's Pete Broughton that takes the 6th position. Great job with Leo Oktarov on the 7th. And Jero Hoops. Oh, Joshua Dancy nearly can make it over there. Matt Zapka, honorary 13th position. Great drive. Oh.
Yeah, a great P10 finish by Gurkan Demir as well.
Aaron Laab, Thomas Fotas, Jeff Torbeck, 15th position. Peter Notwell dropped a little bit to the 16th position. Now let's have a look at what we see. Who are we seeing over here? This is Sean Tretek. Coming over the finish line here. Brian Perez had some accidents, but made it safe. And Rusty Pontenberg dropped also. Then Pagowski. And you do see those Formula 2 drivers. They're getting a little bit tired. And it's a long race. So, yeah, great to see them. Chris Herrera still finishing the race. That guy has made a lot of flavor to this race. But, yeah, couldn't make it happen with that small touch that we had over there.
Yeah, that was really a bit of misfortune. And I think you're right. That might have been netcode, but it's strange that it damaged his right rear axle.
Yeah, that those things can happen, and we have stewards for that to have a look at. Or sometimes you just can look at yourself and say, it wasn't that much. But glad to see that we have 34 people finishing or driving this race. And nearly everybody finished the race. So great job. Let's have a quick look at the results. Jeffrey Decker in first. Awesome job. Adam Wright, second position. Let's have a quick look for newcomers. Mark Breiner, 12th position. Look at that. Awesome job. Would love to hear from him in the booth up here. But also from Matt Zepka, because I am really curious how his race was. We have Alex Alton on the 20th position. Steve Durr, 19th. Nice job. So, Peter, do we have already some drivers waiting to give their review to us?
I think they're still wiping the sweat off of their brows. And so I don't see anyone in the standby booth yet, but I'll keep an eye open.
Well, it was a great race. I really enjoyed it. A lot of action, I have to say. A little bit too much for my liking sometimes. We had to move so quickly, but it was great to see all those drivers. Let's have a quick look at the replay of the start, because that was just amazing to see. We had no incidents the first lap, so that was a great job of all the drivers.
All these drivers proved me wrong. I was predicting incidents in T1 and T4 in the carousel.
Yeah, so if people think, why did I focus so much on T1? Well, Peter was telling me that's where the accidents are going to happen. But no, we didn't have any accidents happen. We just had some very clean racing. A lot of moves already made over here. Here, look at that, 3 wide in the second corner. Great race we had.
Well, you know, Pim, you really have to hand it to these top 4 finishers: Jeffrey Decker, Adam Wright, Mike Bowers, and Jeff Snavely. What just masterful drives! What a great clinic. And then Leo Ovtcharov, you know, he had to serve the drive-through penalty. Fell all the way back to P26, I believe it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Way up to finish P7, incredible. So it's just incredible just to see this kind of amazing determination. It does look like we have our race winner Jeffrey Decker now in the booth.
All right, Jeffrey, welcome to the booth. How was your race?
It was good. Quali was not so good.
No, what happened with that? Tell us about that.
I was just over driving, is really what it was. I actually, I did a 5th lap afterwards. I was just like, man, I got to get this figured out. And I ran like 4/10 faster or something like that. And I was like, yep. Just
all right, so
over driving.
Talk about that first lap, because you just passed everybody.
Yeah, so my strategy here last season and the season before was to do a lot of fuel saving, and I kind of figured everyone was in that same boat. So I figured the best thing for me to do was to just take advantage of people lifting and coasting early, and to try to make up the positions that I missed in quali, and at least just put myself in the mix for some laps led, and hopefully the race win later. So that was kind of the deal. It's just I wanted to get up there, and then it turned out, everyone wanted to do the fuel saving game, so they kind of just let me lead the laps early on, which I think worked out for bonus points and stuff like that, which was nice. But it did have me worried about longer pit stops.
Yeah. And what do you thought about Adam Wright when he went in that early? And I'm not sure if you watched the Formula 2, but we saw that the undercut was really working. So you stayed out for quite a long time.
I think I just stayed out one more lap. As soon as I saw Adam go in, I thought, I think Carl made a move on me that lap. And then I was like, I really don't want to get caught in a battle and let Adam kind of get away. So that was kind of the idea, is come in and make sure that we stay in touch with him. I know actually Carl came in ahead of me, so that threw me off a little bit, but I figured at least we'll hang on with Adam, and he looks super quick. So luckily it worked out.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't know what happened to Carl, though. It seemed like he had a long stop that second time around, because he came out way behind that second one for some reason.
Yeah, that was true. And Mike Bowers made a good jump over there, because he was getting a little bit closer. But I haven't seen...
Talking about Mike, Mike has just entered the broadcast booth as well.
All right, let's not talk about the blue Hulk I was talking about. You were awake. It took a long time to actually get you active, but then at one point you were just fighting and attacking Jeffrey. How was your race, Mike Bowers?
It was good. It was fun. I finally got bored of just riding around there, and I thought Jeffrey's hogging all these stinking points. So I thought, we might as well make it entertaining. And yeah, well, we gave it a swing.
Oh, well, you definitely gave it a swing. It was a good drive.
I was definitely looking back there like Mike's gonna pounce at some point. He really hates playing this like draft like jockeying game. He really just likes getting out there and getting side by side. So I really appreciated when he was like, "All right, let's do this thing."
You know,
Well, it was-
Jeffrey and Mike, it didn't look like you had, even like a millisecond to relax this entire race, because that lead pack, it was really a lead pack of 6 for most of the race, was just so tight. And I guess of all of you, the one we were thinking that maybe was just biding his time was you, Mike. Was that the case, or were you actually antsy and trying to make a move somewhere?
Well, yeah, every time there was an opportunity to make a move, I would. And early on, I made one on Adam, and then Jeffrey screwed that up by making it 3 wide. And there was a little pucker factor going on there, to be honest with you. I think I touched with Adam, and I don't know if I did touch with Jeffrey too, but I was like, okay, this will be interesting.
Yeah,
But,
I think a couple of those early passes, I really wasn't expecting it, and then just like the lifts for a couple of people, I was just like, all right, I guess I'm here now. Like, I don't want to like hit on the brakes in case someone, is expecting me to keep going. So it made it interesting, but it wasn't intentional necessarily.
Yeah, right. I don't believe you. No, it was good though, and all those guys up there are good to fight with. So you can do it without worrying about getting killed. Even though I think I almost killed Adam, but no, it was really fun. And yeah, I was actually, when I was following Jeff, I was Snavely. I was looking for an opportunity to pass because Jeffrey was up there hogging all the points with he and Chris cruising around, and I could tell he was saving fuel a little bit from the front, and I was getting a little antsy, but Snavely was really smart because he'd drop back just a little bit, and then he would roll off to the draft, and we'd have the same pace going down the straightaway. So it never materialized real well. I found that I seemed to have a little better pace than most people through turn 1, and I was pretty decent off of turn 2 late in the race, so that played to my advantage a little bit.
A little bit too good though for the last lap, I think.
Yeah, you bobbled in turn 2 just a little bit. You got loose on the outside just as I went to throttle up, and that brought your nose over, and I was going to hit you. So I had to lift a little bit, and that killed my run down the straight. So I thought it was very well crafted, Jeffrey.
I wish I could say that was intentional, but I do not have that skill.
Well, you were.
That was me just overdriving that corner to try to get as good an exit as possible and actually screw in the pooch.
Well, you were
Let me
talking
ask
about.
you guys,
Yeah, go ahead.
let me ask you guys a question, because one thing we were expecting, because we saw this last season at this track, is you would get into these 2 wide situations going through turn 4 and into turn 5. But then you would all routinely then get back in single file after turn 5. Whereas last season, I remember several of you, would actually continue going 2 wide through turn 6 and through the S's. And sometimes that didn't end well, but it looked like you were all being a little bit more cautious out of turn 5 this time. Is that the case, or was it just too hard to maintain 2 wide all the way through there?
Well, honestly, everybody had too good a pace. So you couldn't afford to stay out there too long because the leaders, the whole group had that low 35 pace, high 34s actually, but they all had that pace. So if you hung out there too long and a couple guys in front of you got out a second, it would be very difficult to get them back. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's how I saw it. What about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think for whatever reason, this season the track was just a little bit more slippery, and I think that outside line just worked a little bit better this time around for the exit. So I think it was just a little bit harder to hang in there. You could do it. You just had to hit the line perfectly, and it was just a little bit too easy to slide and lose momentum. But same thing Mike said too. It's just like if you somehow were able to stick in there, you're just draining time, and it really wasn't worth it.
Right. Well, just speaking as broadcasters, Pim and I were just hoping to be able to call for an exciting 2 wide through there, but you gave us plenty of excitement anyway.
Yeah, I think I ruined the 3 wide into turn 4, whatever it is, on the last lap with that little bobble. I'm pretty sure it would have been Adam, Mike, and I trying to figure out how the heck we're going to get through that corner together.
I thought I was going to bring back the steering wheel. No, Adam's so good, and he's not in here, but he deserves a lot of credit. He drives so smart, and his pit stops are so good that when he's up there in that front deal, he is always game, and he's fast.
Yeah, I definitely thought that when he was going into the pit. I was like, okay, now we're going to see Adam, and it was so close. He was nearly getting Jeffrey, but he couldn't make it to make that undercut completely work. But that was an amazing show, guys. I want to thank you very much. We had some great drivers. Matt Zepka, 13th position. Do want to talk to you as well. Matt, I want to say thank you.
Guys.
Good
Yeah,
night,
good night,
Mike and Jeffrey. Thank you. Matt, I want to talk to you. How was your race? Congratulations with your 13th position. Matt, you do need to unmute yourself if we want to talk to you. Yes, Matt, that's working better.
Okay, got it.
Awesome. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. A little sweaty. But good.
How was the race? Because at one point we saw you at position number 8, I think.
Yeah. Leo was catching me, and that's when I started sweating the most.
And then you just stayed behind him for like ever.
Yeah, because JR and Scott Bell were behind Leo, and I have a habit of if I let one by, I let everyone by. So
Yeah.
I want to strategically let Leo by and not lose 3 spots in the process.
Well, it was an awesome race. So what are your goals right now? I think you at one point you want to be in that top 10. When do you think you're going to be there?
Next time we come to Mid-Ohio and everyone else is sick or on a vacation.
Is this a favorite track of yours?
This is the best Skippy track, I think. I mean, this and Laguna Seca I'm in love with.
Well, Matt, your qualifying was really good, and it was legitimately top 10 qualifying time, and really impressive. And I'm totally with you on how great a track this is. It especially for the Skippy, it just seems to fit and give you a little bit of everything that you want when you're driving this car.
Yeah, it's just when I first saw Mid-Ohio, I was like, why does everyone love this? But then you get in the car and you start driving, you're like, why does everyone love this? And then you race it and you're like, oh, okay, this is amazing.
Well, this is really fun. Great to have you here in the booth, Matt. We were rooting for you. You have a lot of fans in the chat, so we did have a good look on you, and you did an amazing job. I hope you're not going to do this well in the GT3, because we know Friday we have a race against you, and you just keep doing it quietly in that Porsche. But in the Skip, you rock.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. And I don't know how much better I'm going to get at GT3s really quickly, but honestly, Kyle Reed and Mike McLeod have been really helpful, and they've just been looking over everything for me and pointing out hey, do this, hey, you can do this a little differently, and then that's just made a huge difference, because I can see it for other people, but I can't put it together in the car. So them helping me and being in my ear has helped a lot.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's also a little bit what SNS is about. Sunday Night Skippy is about helping out each other and having your own teams. That's how Peter and me started to become friends and worked a lot together, still working together. So it's great to see that kind of camaraderie is up here. Thanks very much, Matt, for joining us. Would love to hear you a lot more in the booth.
Before Matthew goes, is it okay, Matthew, if Pim and I hate you?
Oh yeah. Just make sure.
We were all in Skippy Formula 2 together, and now suddenly you are legitimately vying for top 10 in Skippy Formula One. What gives? You're not allowed to do that without us.
Oh, I'm sorry. If it means anything, those lime green Team Jason paint jobs still give me nightmares. So
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And Matt, as long as you're getting in the top 10s, that means that you have to come to the booth. So be prepared for that. I want to thank you very much for your time. Peter, any last words for the race?
Well, I think Mid-Ohio, again, just delivered great racing. I mean, to just see this kind of amount of action, it was too much for us to call, Pim, wasn't it? And this amount of close-in racing, so kind of solid and clean. 34 cars on track.
Yeah, and then the first lap completely clean. Like that's been a long while when we had that, and I think even the second lap we were completely clean. I saw a lot of overtakes. This track has amazed me on how we drive on it. So I'm looking forward to our next race. It's going to be Sunday again. We're going to have our Formula 2 and Formula 1 on Sunday night. I want to wish everybody a happy weekend, or at least the end of it, and a great week. And we hope to see you in our next race.